Welcome to the Team Teach podcast. I'm Clare, and in each episode you'll find me talking with an expert guest to learn more about behaviour. We squeeze a lot into each episode. You'll listen to the latest thinking in behaviour, continue your professional development with our book recommendation, and then I'll send you away with 3 practical tips you can use in your setting. I'm joined today by co-host Dave Smallwood, and Dave and I are talking about internal truancy in schools. Hi Dave, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Claire. How are you?
I'm very well. Dave's laughing because I'm holding my microphone because I've got a sore back from leaning forward, so I look a bit odd. Luckily, we don't use any of the visuals for the podcast today, and he'll just have to get used to it.
Maybe today, this is the day we do a video podcast.
No, I absolutely not. I haven't brushed my hair either. But Dave, could you give a quick intro to the listener?
Yes, I'm Dave Smallwood. I am a principal trainer for Team Teach. I deliver the whole range of Team Teach courses. I have a background in education, working usually and primarily with children with autism or autistic individuals in schools and residential settings as well. So that's it.
Thanks, Dave. And the listener will know my voice. I don't introduce myself actually ever on the podcast, apart from when I'm with Dave. But my name's Clare Edmondson. I'm also a principal tutor for Team Teach. My background's very varied. I've worked in education, mental health, and also in adoption and fostering agencies. And it's interesting what we're talking about today. So internal truancy. I thought maybe it's good to give a bit of a definition to start off with, because it's kind of floated around a little bit in schools, but maybe not a hugely commonly used phrase in my kind of knowledge. But it's internal truancy, which is sometimes called internal exclusion or internal truancy. It's when a student is physically not in lessons, but is somewhere in the school. So they could be in the corridors, hiding in toilets, or staying in other kind of unsupervised areas, as opposed to being in class. So essentially, not being in class and being somewhere else in school, but staff not necessarily knowing exactly where they are. So that's the definition. Did you know that you can become a trainer and deliver Team Teach training to staff within your own organisation? Have the flexibility to choose when, where and who you deliver your training to throughout the year. Find out more about this cost-effective option on the Team Teach website. So based on that definition, Dave, is there a reflective question in this? That is the question. But what you wish you knew then that you know now about this topic?
I think it's the question why.
Yeah.
Why are they not in class? Why are they not there? Not other things like, this is inconvenient. This is inconvenient for me. I need them to be back. What are they doing? All these things come up first, but actually the question why should be there first. Why are we seeing this now? I'm not only asking the question why once, but I think we should ask it multiple times. Ask yourself question why, get one answer and think, right, I'm going to ask it again, and we'll try and find a different answer, because the first answer we come up with may not be the answer that is the reason why. So keep asking yourself that question, why. Why are they not accessing their education and learning at this point?
Yeah, that question why is so important. Mine was a bit more practical, because I'm just thinking back to kind of when I first started teaching busy kind of high school, and I'm sure that I had pupils that would have been heading off somewhere else, maybe hiding in the toilets, the corridors, and not attending. But I think what I didn't really know then was the importance of me trying to engage that person to come back in. So more so the thing would be that there would be consequences, I guess, for not being in lesson, and maybe a detention or whatever the sanction would have been in that high school. But actually now what I know is that I have to build that relationship with that person, a bit like what Dave was saying, finding out about the why, but just being curious, I guess, about how I can encourage that person back into my classroom, that maybe building the relationship can really help. But there's kind of a strategy that you can use where you try and spend just 2 minutes a day with one or two of those children, young people that maybe are struggling to access your class. Just 2 minutes, maybe finding out what they like, just a generic conversation, whatever it is. And the idea is that those 2 minutes a day actually add up to quite a bit of time if you consistently keep doing that. And then that helps you to build a relationship. So I really wish that I knew that then, because I can think of a couple of characters, I can still see their faces, that did not attend some of my lessons. And actually, I think that I could have got them back in, had I kind of used something like that strategy that I mentioned. Yeah. So I'm getting really deep now, thinking about kids I haven't thought about for 20 years.
Yeah. It's so important. You got me thinking about that now. I think if you are working in high school and in secondary education, building of relationships is really difficult because you've got so many, you meet so many different faces every single day, and building those relationships is difficult. But it's not going to be all 30 of them not attending that lesson.
Mm,
It's just going to be high profile characters, isn't it? So like you say, it's just spending that 2 minutes every day is really going to build up a relationship. Is that our job to build up relationships with children, or are we just there to teach? That's the question. I've seen that
mm,
about recently. We're not teachers anymore. We're other things. But if we do build up those relationships with individuals, then they're more likely to access our lessons because basically they like us and they think we care. Um, so even when we're asking for help, it's difficult in a high school. So I'll use high school as examples.
mm,
We have our on-call staff. So there'll be someone on call, and maybe they'll go out and they'll follow the individuals around and try and get them back to lesson. Um, but I think you're right, and your point is maybe it should be me. Maybe I'm the one,
mm.
and that's a difficult one for teachers in secondary education. I haven't got time for this. I've got my lesson to deliver, and then I've got another lot coming through the door in half an hour. I can't go out and start following someone around. But maybe if we change our help protocols, the 30 you've got in class that are already set off on a task, they know what they're doing. So having that member of staff to come in and help and just
Nice.
oversee that and supervise that whilst we go out and find that individual, that's going to go somewhere towards building that relationship. And eventually that investment will pay off.
Yeah, and I think that if we're able to do that with the policies of the school, and just, it's 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, to sort of make sure that we like keep building that connection, because ultimately when we're thinking about the problems with internal truancy, I mean, it's similar to emotional based school avoidance, that if a young person is consistently missing lots of learning time, it has an impact on learning, engagement, a sense of belonging. Also, it's this idea of like hidden absences as well. So we might have someone that has 100% attendance, like coming into school, but perhaps they're only attending a handful of lessons. So they're actually missing out on quite a lot. And if we're not monitoring it really carefully, we're maybe not aware of like just how broad the issue is with that child or young person. I think also when we're thinking about the problems with this, it could be signifying well-being concerns. So we're kind of talking about maybe high-profile kids with like complex needs, but on the flip side, there could be children that don't present with particular behavioral concerns, but maybe are getting bullied, or having some sort of like mental health difficulties, suffered a bereavement at home, and have shut down, and kind of moving themselves away from the classroom because of one or any of those things. So it could be quite complex, the reasons why someone is not coming to lessons and choosing to hide. But all of that, or what underpins all of that, is also our safeguarding and kind of welfare. That if we do have children that aren't in our lessons, then we do need to know where they are in the school so we can make sure that everyone is safe. So there's kind of lots of parts of why it can be a bit of a problem in schools. And I guess why it's coming up now, where there is lots of talk around attendance, emotional based school avoidance. We talked about in a previous podcast, really, about how the needs of children are changing. We see that as staff going into schools. So there's lots of things that are kind of bubbling up that might be causing internal truancy to be maybe more prevalent, more difficult. I know when I did my research, I know you found the same, Dave, as well, that there isn't really any stats that we can feed back on this, because in research, it's not really separated between internal truancy and absenteeism from school. So it's actually really hard to determine sort of how prevalent it is. But it certainly is something that as staff, we want to be aware of and thinking about improvements with it, because that's going to have an impact on the child.
It is. I think there's a bit a balance to strike. The needs are changing, and those needs are there, and we do see it.
Mm,
It's true. And the systems don't match the changing need and that awareness. We have to acknowledge that these issues are there for young people, and it's not enough. I firmly believe it's not enough to just say get back to lesson. That's where you've got to be,
mm,
because there's an issue there, and we've got to figure out what it is, and we have to validate that.
mm,
And that's where we're going to get to the bottom of it. I know there's going to be some individuals that just don't go to the lesson, and they are trying it on. Um, but there's other individuals that have probably got really valid reasons for not being there
mm,
from their point of view, and those people need support. And this is where the balance has to come in, because behavior policies are set up in a certain way.
mm,
So what happens is they go through the systems, they go through the gears in the behaviour policies, usually around detentions and uh, going into inclusion or um, isolation, whatever the school calls it nowadays. Uh, then that leads to suspensions. But are we actually addressing the issue there? Um, and I think sometimes we're not, and we're missing it, and probably just reinforcing what that individual believes. And I think we really do need to strike a balance. Those behaviour policies need to be in place for the behaviour management of the whole setting, especially in the big secondary schools, of course. But on the flip side of that, we do have some individuals that find it very difficult to access certain parts of their learning for very valid reasons. So we really need to figure out what that is, and we really need to support them with it. If we support them, then they will access the lessons. If we don't, then they won't. So we've got to see if we can make those reasonable adjustments sometimes to our
mm.
behaviour policies, and see past the behaviour and see what's driving that behaviour and think about those functions.
Yeah, the those functions of behavior, kind of the reasons behind it, what's driving the behavior, is really key for us to understand kind of all the way through this kind of issue. But I also was thinking about, like, quite pragmatically, sometimes this is how my brain works, is that you were mentioning, Dave, there about the needs of the child, young person, how we can engage them and get them back in. But also there might be a genuine need that that child, young person does actually need some space away from the classroom. And perhaps that intervention isn't set up yet, or maybe they don't quite know how to access the space if there is a space. So there is something about balancing it out of kind of being empathetic to perhaps they're finding it tricky to go into class and understanding the why, but also having some practical things set up. So if someone does genuinely need, a brain break or a space away that's a safe space from the classroom, having mechanisms set up so they can access that. And I know that that can be tricky because you might have 15 in the class that suddenly want to leave. But you have it set up in a way where it's used in a kind of respectful way, where it's accessed in the right way, and you rehearse using it. And that might help where you might have a child, and again, this could be for anxiety reasons. It may not be someone that's showing, particularly other behaviors, that they're running off and hiding in the toilet because that feels quite safe, but actually that's quite hard to monitor. So we set up a nice safe space, maybe in the classroom, like a tablecloth over a table, decorated, like easy job, no funding needed. And perhaps, in a primary service, early years service, that could just be a really nice safe space that's actually in the classroom. And then it stops a child kind of wanting to leave and find their own safe space, which for a member of staff can be tricky to monitor because you may not know exactly where that is in the school. So I think there are things that we can put up that kind of hold our understanding of the child, keep our empathy, but also are quite practical, where we can allow them to have that space that they may need, but we do it in a kind of controlled way, and a rehearsed way where they can access a space where we can keep an eye on them. And I think those kind of things where we're preempting it, I think could help to reduce it being this kind of internal truancy.
Yeah, yeah. And even in those spaces, if we rehearse it, they can still access the learning in there.
Mm.
But I think in early years settings, smaller primary,
Hmm.
special schools, we're quite good at having those things and understanding the needs of the individuals. When we get the masses, when we get the fourth form entry primary schools or the big secondary schools, understanding the individuals is quite difficult. And I think, I suppose I'm skipping to the end here, assuming that we've taken the time to listen and talk to the individuals and find out the reasons why they're behaving in this way. Um, I think communication is really key across the board.
Mm.
And don't keep it to yourself because it can't be one size fits all. Right, this is what we do for individuals that aren't accessing the learning during the day because everyone's an individual. So once we find out those things, make sure that we communicate to the rest of the staff around the school. Um,
Hmm.
because they might see them in a place that they think they're not supposed to be in, and to address it, we might escalate the situation. Or
Hmm.
if they go to a lesson in a different department and nobody's communicated anything to that member of staff about
Mm.
the timeout cards or whatever it may be, a strategy for that individual, if it's not been communicated, they don't know. And then it can make the issue worse, really. So communication, I think, is really key. Just want to,
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that we're all communicating together, all on the same page. And I think we could also communicate and celebrate good attendance in lessons. I think that would form part of that communication. So, of course, I'm sure in probably more so high schools and primary schools that there'll be consequences if someone skips a lesson and hides somewhere in the corridors. And I want to empathize with teachers as well. Like, someone skipping a lesson might be graffitiing, they might be climbing on things, they might be causing damage. Like, it's not just children that are anxious and hiding in toilets. There could be a multitude of things going on.
yeah,
But I also think that there's something about when we do catch the person doing the right thing coming to lesson, even if we're just getting them in for sort of 5 or 10 minutes to start, that we celebrate that. And the focus isn't on the fact that they've missed all the other bits. It's like a clean slate the next day, but they've come in 5, 10 minutes, like, oh, that's amazing. Like, great, let's get you engaged. And then maybe you start building on that and making it longer. So it's like that small steps, particularly if you've got someone that persistently is unable for various reasons to get through the door, that maybe we need to build it up and think about small steps. But we will have boundaries and we will have rules and school policies, but also remembering that we celebrate when that person does come in, that they are welcome. This is amazing that they've come in. There's this belonging in our room, because I assume that sometimes part of the truancy could be about not feeling like they belong in the classroom. And then when time goes and maybe you're skipping the lesson or the teacher for a period of time, it's even harder to feel that sense of belonging. So I
Yeah.
think that kind of communicating the good when someone is coming in, tell them that they're doing a great job. I'm really pleased that you're here today. It's so great to see you. And I go back to my point from other episodes that I've done about authenticity. If you don't actually mean that, don't say it. You can't fake it. But I mean it. Like when I haven't seen someone for a while in my class, and sure, they may be
I'd
maybe
say also
tricky.
do that and then resist the temptation to follow up with something else. Oh, hi Claire, you're here today. Thank you for coming. Because you've not been here for the other the three lessons this term.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just leave that last bit off. Celebrate them being here.
It is,
Not because
but
that's seriously. It's
it's
hard
like
to do.
it is hard to do. It's like a growth mindset thing, I think, for me, of just like, well, not necessarily growth mindset, but it's about being in the present. The past has happened, it's done. I'm going to focus on the present moment. And that the present moment is that this person is here right now with me, and I can actually put to bed the past, because I want to focus on the here and now. And I think that can be quite a helpful strategy, particularly if it is, behavior that pushes your buttons, where, it's hard. Like if you're teaching a sequence of lessons and someone's missed loads of it, and you've got to kind of get them caught up. Maybe I remember being an English teacher and teaching a novel, and someone's missed, I don't know, 4 or 5 lessons. You're just like, oh gosh, like how do I get this person caught up? But you manage it, you
But
do it.
let's see that as a positive. I know it's like, well, this is going to be, I haven't got time for this, going to put more pressure on me because I've got to catch this person up. They're going to need extra support now. But let's see it as a positive. This is great because I get to spend more time with this individual, and rebuild those relationships with them.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. Let's see it from that point of view instead. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I just was in my NQT English teacher head there, full
Yeah, yeah,
throttle,
I know,
just
I
like
know,
the
I know
the
what you mean.
panic. Like, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
it's
just trying
a,
to see the positives in it.
yeah, like, but it is, it's all. And I mentioned about growth mindset, but that idea that like things are possible. We want to think about that we can do things, and that's exactly what Dave's kind of emulated there. Dave, you've had to put up with me with my microphone on my lap. Actually, I've just realized on a dog food box. So I sort of look a bit
Mine,
ridiculous.
mine's also on a box to let you know.
I know. I can't see the inner workings of your. Oh, nice, nice. Sorry to the listener who's showing me the box that his microphone's on. Very wishy-washy setup today. But I just thought that this has been really I use fascinating quite a lot, but it's really made me think about quite a few things in our practice. But let's finish off with 3 top tips. If you could go first with the first tip.
Yeah, I think what I mentioned earlier about communication, communicating to everybody. Uh, if you've got something that works and you've got that little nugget of information, share it. If there's a strategy that that individual needs to use to make them feel safe in the environment, then that strategy should be shared and then used consistently across the board. So yeah, communication.
Yeah, nice. And my one is about the preventative strategies. So that idea of trying to have things set up, if we sort of notice a pattern, then trying to have safe spaces, quiet spaces, timeouts, things set up to help support that person so they can still get their needs met if that is a need, but also attend the classroom and the lessons.
Mhm.
And then lastly,
I've got one.
oh, were you going to say empathy? Because that's What? No.
No, because we say that quite a lot on our podcast. So no, I wasn't going to say empathy. No.
Okay, you go. You go.
Um, the question why are they doing it, and then look for support. Um, I know earlier in the podcast you mentioned like some individuals might go out and graffiti or climb up on the roof or something like that, uh, and do something quite inappropriate. The measures and consequences we have set out in our behaviour policies, it might be a 2 hour Friday detention, for instance. If they attend that and then they don't display that behaviour ever again, brilliant, that's great. But if they attend that and then do the same thing the week after, I've really got to start asking myself the question why. Why are they repeating this? That
Mm,
hasn't worked. What is going to work? And I need to go down the route of support because there's something going on there.
yeah.
Ask yourself the question why.
Yeah, it's a signal for support.
It is.
Nice. Lovely to chat to you, Dave, on a very interesting topic, and I will catch up with you soon.
Yes, indeed. We'll do some more podcasts for sure at some point. But it's been great to see you, and then yeah, we'll catch up soon.
You've been listening to the Team Teach podcast. It's been great to have you here with us as we discuss behaviour, communication, and the ways we can best support those in our care. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.